Hello YouTube, this is Dustin DaHusky. Welcome to another episode of I Don't Know What This Is, because often enough I really don't know what most of my episodes are until I have a piece of paper in my hand, which, speaking of which, so if you're on Twitter, you'll have these little fandom quizzes that tend to roll around, make the rounds and such. And it's about, one like for every one answer. And to be honest, I do enjoy doing these online, but also, unfortunately, this is my thoughts, I don't think you really ever get a chance to ask any of these for anyone. Like, yeah, 10 likes, but most people who post this may not get 10 likes. Or no, 20 likes, actually. Most of my shit don't get more than 10 likes anyway, so what would be the point of wanting to get to know me when there's not enough likes to really fully get to know me? So you know what? I'm breaking rules. No likes. Nothing but answers. Because, you know what? Get to know hoosk. I think that would be the only better way to do stuff like this from now on, is just to simply, literally answer questions that no one has asked me. But you know what? You're gonna get answers. But first, some really gritty coffee that's got, like, I don't know. There's so much granules in this thing. It tastes like 80 grit sandpaper. Okay, maybe 120 grit. It's not that bad, but there was a few granules in there of bean that made its way into the cup. So, this is Sushi's Fandom quiz. 1 like equals 1 answer. How long have you been in the furry fandom? That's first question. So, I accidentally stumbled upon the fandom in June of 2002. I was at my grandparents' place in that'd be Hale's Corners at the time, when they were living near the highway on Palatine. And if you remember the internet days back in the day, it was a different beast than it is that we know it. And growing up, I absolutely loved the movie Balto. Still my favorite movie. I mean, there are other favorite movies too throughout time, but Balto is certainly still one of my favorites. But I like werewolves too. And then Balto and then werewolf kind of merged together in my Google Images search. Now, this is a time when you just didn't look specifically for images. You just looked at a whole page of images, because it took 10 minutes just to kind of upload an image back in the day. Yeah, about 10 minutes. I remember back in 99, just going online, an image took about 15-20 minutes just to upload. It was stupid. All you youngins, you don't know what you missed. Actually, you missed quite a lot that was kind of stupid. So, how long have I been in this fandom? Since June 2002. Now, how did you first discover the fandom? By total accident, as I've mentioned before. I was on Google Images looking for werewolves, and then I found a nicely drawn sketch art of a wolf character called a shrew, property of Scott A.H. Ruggles. And this is on the old Yerf.net Yerf.com, I forget. On the old Yerf website, which is now archived, it no longer exists. It ceased to exist, but someone was bright enough to save the entire website in 2004, so perfect. It's been defunct since 2004. But people were still adding art like it was the VCL back in the day. Haha, another bit of old furry tech that a lot of you youngins have never used before. VCL is where I kind of grew up in furry art. But anyway, Scott A.H. Ruggles is the very first artist that I've ever seen art from. So due to him, and it wasn't really the word furry that actually caught on, I understood this was the anthro community back in the day where, furry was a term being used, but furry was being used as a term to describe you in the anthro community. So back in the day, it was mostly not furry community, but anthro community. And then eventually, I still make that distinction. It's an old I don't know. A lot of the people who've been in this fandom a long time will probably agree with me that a lot of people will refer to the furry fandom as the anthro fandom. Or maybe in my part of the world, I don't know. I guess we're all different. I don't know. I never referred to it as furry fandom until really in the last 10 years. So, yeah. So he was the very artist that drawn me in. And while he's still alive, because he's an older gentleman, I would love to get art from him, which, who knows, that might be my 2021 goal. Once I pay off my car, I'm going to save up a bit of money and ask him to just draw a sketch of my Fursona. I think that would be the most glorious thing that could possibly happen for me in this fandom. Yeah, that'd probably be the number one greatest thing to have ever happened to me. And there'd be a few other artists that I'd like to get as well. They're still young, but it's like buying classic cars. Get them while they're cheap. Get them while they're plentiful, because your options dwindle over time, especially for artists in this fandom. They come and go. Some retire. Some unfortunately pass on. Get busy. So, number 3. What are your favorite aspects of the community? This is a really hard question, just because there's a lot I like about this community. I love the imagination of living a different sort of reality, one that I feel is more perfect in my eye. Of course, the community is fantastic. They're friendly people. We're all outcasts to a certain degree. Yeah, we are all drawn in to the idea of anthropomorphics. That's the beauty of it, is that to some degree, shape, or form, we're all see ourselves sort of as an outcast. Some to a less degree, some very much outcasted by everyone around them. So, it's a good community of belonging. Honestly, my favorite aspect about this community, I'm going to go full basic answer on this, is literally the anthropomorphic nature of our community is what fascinates me the most. It's a whole new world. And it's one that we entirely create, which, among other communities, is pretty unique in that sense, where we're not based off a TV show. Yeah, we're inspired by TV shows, movies, whatnot, of anthropomorphic characters and its qualities. But all of our characters are unique and created by the individual, which to a lot of communities is a rare and exceptional one. I still think the idea of anthropomorphics is my favorite aspect about this fandom, because anything can happen. You can do what you want in it. You are literally being freed from a cage within your mind to explore I guess it stems down to imagination, really, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. To me, I like to think in my mind I'm living in the furry world. It's just I'm living still within the normal human world, in a sense. If that makes sense. Because I like to see all my friends, everyone around me as their Sona. That's their Sona. That's what they chose to be, and I am gladly going to imagine in my mind that for them. So, that's number 3. Number 4, what was your first Fursona? My first Fursona is still my main Fursona from 2002. That was a husky that was not named until really 2009. I couldn't think of a name for my Fursona. And practically the community named me. Because on a old FA forum page, I asked people, what kind of name would fit this character? I wasn't exactly certain sure who or how to name him. Figuring out what I want to be, exactly what I want to be, was already a given. That was no issue. It's just finding a name for my own Fursona was just, oddly enough, hard to do. So where Dustin actually comes from, not from me. So in a sense, I created my own Fursona, but the fandom named me. And to this day, I'm still Dustin. And I added DaHusky from Duncan DaHusky, because at the time I thought I was the only other husky in the area besides him. And he seemed like a cool guy. So I took on his name with a few, not spelling variation, but more like upper and lower case variation. And his is more two separate words, duh and then husky, where I just became DaHusky in all in one word. And, capitalizing the D and capitalizing the H, so... Beyond that, I pretty much took his name, or took his last name as my last name, and he's not complained to me yet about it, so who knows? He may, I don't know. Yeah, literally, my first Fursona, although I used to be a white and liver or copper husky, but back in the day in 2002, white and copper was a very common color. So I became white and blue. Holy cow, was I so wrong 10 years later that that'd be the very common husky colors, white and blue. Not to say I was the first white and blue husky in this fandom, but I am certainly one of the very first 5 to ever be white and blue. I can only say that distinction proudly, but am I the first? No. But am I definitely first 5? Yeah. Guaranteed. I don't think I think I'm number 3. Or number 4. Because there's still a few others that were white and blue after me that were pretty early on, but I am one of the original white and blue huskies in this goddamn community. Describe your current Fursona. Well, obviously he's me, and believe it or not, that was not always the case, because I imagined my Fursona to be easygoing, friendly, open-hearted, open-minded, and always smiling, always cheerful, positive. All these qualities that are currently me right now. But a lot of people that who may have known me from the very beginning, which are very, very few people in this fandom. So that's really only 2 people. That's only 2 people in this fandom that actually knew me as I was growing up. So, only 2 people knew who I was before, and I am not the person that you see today, on a personality-wise. While I thought of the fursona that would be named Dustin, I didn't really think of a personality for him until I was in middle school. So it was pretty much neutral character. But it wasn't until maybe 2007 did I really give him a personality. Something that I've always wanted to be is all the stuff that I wasn't. And, it wasn't until the middle of senior year in high school, so that's 2012, I sort of had a middle of the year self-revolution. I shed a lot of the old personality that I came into that year and left a different person. I was so fed up with who I always was that I knew I wasn't going anywhere fast. So I practically absorbed the personality traits that I wanted to be as my Sona, and I eventually just absorbed it into my own personality, which you just see today. So if you've ever seen any of my videos, that's how I don't really know how to more describe Dustin as a fursona, because you know what? I eventually became him. Which is why that Dustin's always going to be around, because he's the one that helped bring me out of a lot of hardships growing up. A lot of dumb shit growing up. Just, it's not been positive. However, since 2012, been on a positive climb since. I've viewed myself a lot better since then. It's actually helped me a lot. So, take a view of any video of mine, and you can probably judge the persona of Dustin into me, because, well, I was so fed up with who I was before, I literally became my fursona. Why did you choose your fursona species? I love huskies. Simple as that. I think they're handsome dogs. I think they're aerodynamic. They're handsome. They're beautiful. Yes, that's just my opinion. Not to say other dog breeds are dumb, because huskies are just as dumb as other dog breeds. And they can be just as smart as other dog breeds too, so it really depends on your dog. Yeah, I just like huskies. How much of your Sona is based on yourself? None of it. It literally became... Dustin would literally become me later on in life. No. Sorry. Switch that around. I would later become Dustin later on in life. As mentioned in... Oh, describe your current fursona. I answered that wrong. Literally, white, light blue, dark blue, lime, husky. So I totally fucked that up. How much of your fursona is based on yourself? Well, really, I'm based off my fursona. And actually have been a successful case that it can work. That you can become your fursona in the best of ways. How much? Post some of your favorite art of your fursona. I can't do that online. I mean, if I did something special about this video, yeah, I probably could have a slideshow, but you know what? Follow me on Twitter. You might see some art there. Or I might post a bunch of art just for the sake of video, and hopefully you'll find it. If you had to change fursona species, what'd you pick? No. I reject your reality and still substitute my own. I'm still a hoosk. No, I can't see myself being anything else. My second fursona is still a Spitz dog and still curly tail, but different species and just as weird. So, what would I end up being? If I were to still choose within the canine species, I almost became a wolf. But if I had to choose non-canine, I don't know. That's something I just never really thought about. I've said maybe deer or reindeer or elk or whatever in the past, but I think they're cute. I also think they're handsome. But there's no interest at all to ever get a Sona like that. So, how do you feel about fursuits? I'm a fursuiter since 2012. I love fursuits. How do you feel about furry conventions? I've been going to them since 2010. I enjoy them too. I almost wanted to go to MFF in 2009. However, it was 2 weeks before the con. That's when I discovered, yeah, I was not in my own closet. I knew enough about the fandom. I was still dull enough to think that there wasn't much in terms of events going on until I discovered, oh, wait a minute, there's these things called fur cons. Wow. Didn't discover that until 2009, and they've been going on for eons. So I was out of the loop fully for big events like that. And when I discovered MFF was the closest to my location to a FurCon, timing was in the beginning of November. And I realized I didn't have enough time to really plan for it. Not to think that I could have still gone, but I didn't plan enough ahead for it that I thought maybe it was better to go the next year. So I went in 2010. Back when MFF was in November. I can say that to all the younger furs and like, oh yeah, well I've been in this fandom since MFF was on the assassination weekend of JFK. Especially 2013 on the 60th anniversary. Oh. Is it 60th? No, 50th. Yeah, it would be 50th. Have you brought anyone into the fandom? Oh my god. This is a funny... I may have brought in hundreds of people in this fandom. Local and abroad. I actually do not know the numbers that I've actually brought into this fandom, but yeah, I've introduced a ton of people into this fandom over actively in the last 10 years. And the one thing they'll all tell me is I was the very first furry they ever knew. And my purple 96 Cavalier was the very thing that took them to practically everything they ever knew. It's like Pilgrims and the Mayflower, seeking new worlds. Or in the Star Trek universe, the Enterprise. It's the very vessel that brings them to all these new adventures and missions and mysteries. I was the hoosk. And the Cavalier was the mode of transportation that took us everywhere. The Cavalier era was an especially busy period of introducing so many people into this fandom. And again, few people who knew me at the time have lived through that. So, yes. And you want to hear something funny? I brought hundreds of people into this fandom over 10 years. You know who I didn't bring into this fandom? My own brother, my own blood brother. He asked when the next con I was going to, and it was like, oh, that's IFC in October, or in August. And this is like July of 2018. He's like, oh, can I go? Sure. So he did that to himself. All my friends are like saying, oh, well, you brought your brother into this fandom. I mean, I've brought all these people in this fandom. However, my brother's not one of them. He did that to himself. He has more art than I do in 10 years' time that I've had art of my Fursona. Actually, is that 11 or 12 years? I can't tell. I forget. I gotta check. Because my first commission art was 10 years ago, but I had drawn art of myself back in the day. Maybe as long as 13 years, but my brother's got more art than I do in 13 years' time. 10 years with getting art commissions. So, yeah, fun times. Paws or maws? Neither. I like butts. I like tails. Butts and tails. Nah. Like the whole I did go to the Anthrohio argument of paws and maws, and you know what? I went straight ticket, tails and butts all the time. You can't convince me. You cannot convince me. I am part of the furry butt party. Butts. Favorite anthro character from pop culture? So I'm thinking anthro character. I'm thinking of the old definition of the anthro character back in the day, in the way how we viewed the fandom. So, yeah, there was Balto, there was Charlie, Fox and the Hound and whatnot. But those are feral characters. Yes, they had human qualities, but they were feral characters. So those don't count in my eye. In this definition of this question, my definition of anthro is, at this point, you have human-like form with animal-like qualities. Or animal with human-like qualities. In the physical, structural, muscle, skeletal sense. So I guess in this case, I'd have to say... Robin Hood from, 1974? The Fox? I'd have to say that would be my favorite anthro character of all time. And that would be the one where a lot of people would enter the fandom as due to Robin Hood. Or maybe Secret of Nim. Oh my goodness, I have choices. So I guess Secret of Nim, Robin Hood, what's that one movie with the mice? It's Sherlock. Oh, Sherlock Hound is a handsome dude. Oh my god, I would date him in a heartbeat. So Sherlock Holmes, okay, that's another one. And there's another one. There's Sherlock Holmes and the Great Mouse Detective. No, is it just a Great Mouse Detective? See, now that's another anthro character. See, I have so many favorites. And these are all old movies. And you know what? Well, Sherlock Hound being a TV series, but... yeah, okay, my top 5. Did I pick 5? I don't know. Correct me in the comment section below. What is your biggest furry pet peeve? What is my biggest furry pet peeve? I mean, there's many. What is my biggest pet peeve? I guess in real life, if you smell awful. Like, if you absolutely genuinely smell awful, like you don't take care of yourself, that's one of my pet peeves in person. It's one thing if you smell musky after a day's worth of work. That's one thing. That's permissible. Even some musk is kind of nice. But when you smell like a dumpster for several weeks, no. But what is my furry pet peeve online? Oh, here's one. People pretending to be me. And believe me, this was a huge issue big in the day. It was dumb. Oh, so you know what? Short story time. There was a furry in Texas. who literally assumed my identity, was Dustin DaHusky, had pictures of my Fursona on a Telegram profile, had my bio in his bio, and oh, this is funny. Claims to be me. So he messaged me and asked, "So, how long have you been a Dustin DaHusky?" "Oh, since 2002. And then it was ... and then he left. It's not so much the idea that someone literally wanted to become me, which used to happen a lot back in the days, but not to this extent that I'm starting to believe there was a furry Dustin DaHusky ring of fakes rolling around the internet, because from what I understood, this guy was asking me how long I have been a fake of my own character that I created. And it wasn't until he realized I was the original. Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine. The DaHusky part, it doesn't bother me, but when you become Dustin DaHusky, ooh, okay, pick something else for first name, or pick something else for last name, but don't use that. I've been that for a long time. There are better names out there. But I get a chuckle with my clones, but after a while it gets annoying. But that one moment of someone asking me how long I have been a Dustin DaHusky, thinking I was just another fake online, just rolling around, that got me. Actually, I had a laugh that night. What is the origin of your online nickname? The fandom picked my name. Yep, pretty much that. I mean, there are nicknames out there. There's Curl, there's Hoosk. But those I gave to myself anyway, so yeah, I really gave my own nicknames to myself. But that's just a way to describe me. So, no one really gave those. Dustin, yes. Hoosk or Curl? No. How has your view of the fandom changed over time? Holy shit, that's too long of an answer, and this video is already going on 30 minutes. I think it's certainly advanced. It's certainly advanced in the best of ways possible. I do notice that there's more and more people who have more ulterior motives now. That's what's always concerned me. Because back in the day, if you were anyone in the furry fandom, you were still a nobody. Unless you had a fursuit, which were few and rare and far in between. If you didn't have a fursuit, you were practically unknown. Or if you made art. Or you were a fanfic writer. If you weren't any of those three, you were practically a nobody in this fandom. Yeah, you got to know people along the way, so you knew people, but no one knew who you exactly were. It's just, nowadays, everyone wants to be something. They want to be someone, which, yeah, I can understand that, but why? The number of people I've seen who have rose and decline in the last 18 years I've been in this fandom is a staggering number, which means, unfortunately, all the people that you know that are relevant today will not be relevant in 8 years. Yeah, it's a long time, but it's not forever. Unless they keep the spotlight on them long enough to do so, which becomes taxing after a while, because you know what? Like every new generation of furries, there's going to be new generations of popular people, or more notable people. And the old guard is going to have to fight long and tooth and nail to make sure that they still can get that spotlight. Because believe me, there are a lot of people that have come and gone. And none of you probably would even heard of them anyway. Also, too, power struggles. It's disgusting. Absolutely disappoints me. Fandom shouldn't be owned by anyone, shouldn't be controlled majorly by anyone. Yeah, there's regional stuff, yeah, there's state stuff, but don't try to organize it into a giant conglomerate. It's not the fandom that should be. It should be more fluid, more flexible. If you try corporatizing or running it like a business, you've lost the whole point of being in this fandom. You're literally using it for your own gain, for a power move. That's what actually concerns me the most. So, a lot of what I see on the fandom has mostly been good. Then there's the small things. I guess for many it would be small. For me, also could be small. Could also be medium size. Usually I don't sweat the big stuff anymore. I stopped giving a shit about that. But overall, still incredibly positive with this fandom and how it's changed. Yeah. What can we do better as a community? Treat everyone with respect. Don't be a turd nugget and seek attention in the wrong ways. Because that's how you... Oh my god. I see this happen more... Oh, okay. You know what? Alright. Stop obsessing over shit. Stop obsessing over individual people. Stop obsessing over individual problems. Stop obsessing with trying to get power in this fandom. Stop obsessing to make it up in this fandom. Stop obsessing over your own gains or your own... your own fresh failures. Or your own... Pretty much, what can we do better as a fandom is we gotta stop going after each other. But also, this whole thing of creating division within this community is stupid. Though, like, back in the day, especially with all the bad, negative media publicity that the fandoms got, we all gained together. It was never, you're either with us or you're against us. No, it was never like that. It's just we're all in the same boat. Nowadays, it's not just external struggle. We kind of ignored that, which I'm kind of glad because it was not doing anything good for us anyway. But the internal struggle of getting one up on each other, just climbing up the social ladder faster than other people, taking over control over stuff that probably didn't need to be taken control in the first place, or trying to get your hands into every single organization possible so that you can make yourself feel like you're a major player, which, no, just be you. You can do so much more just by being yourself and helping along wherever along the way, but getting your nose into every little pickin' thing is not healthy. Because not everything should revolve around you. And people always thought it did for me, and never did, actually. In fact, I stepped down from state representative many years ago because state community was doing a lot better than I thought it actually was. Obviously didn't need a overseer to see everything, making sure that it was doing good. And all the people who would have wanted to take my place were all those same people of looking for power on a total power trip. And they were just kind of, they weren't right for that kind of job. So I do have a good laugh when people tell me that I was getting off on power too, and not the case. No, I am humble through and through. If you knew me 12 years ago still, I'm still the same person as I was today, and especially since 2012, I am still the very same person. When I see old friends at conventions, or at fur meets, even those I may not talk to much anymore, it's odd enough, and it's interesting that they say, "Oh, Dustin, you haven't changed one bit." And these are both people that do enjoy my presence and absolutely hate me. So, I've seen people change in this fandom. I've been a constant neutral in all this. I've not gone up in my stature. I've not gone down. I just like to think I'm just here to enjoy myself within this community and to help where I can. So do better as a community by stop obsessing over small petty shit and over titles that in the end don't matter. Just be you. And I've been saying that for years, and people don't even listen to me for that. Just be you. I can't tell you how many times I've said that to people. Over the past 10 years, I've told people, just be you. They only want to talk to someone just to reevaluate and revalidate what they plan on doing anyway. They just wanted another person just to talk to them, just to say, oh, no, my idea is still better. People don't listen to Hoosk, and that's okay, because I notice they all still tend to come back when things fall apart, and then they really listen again. So, happiest memory from your time in the fandom? All of it. That is too hard of a question to answer, because you know what? Every memory I've ever had in this community has always been, well, worthwhile. The friends I've made, the things I've seen, the things I've done, all the events and cons that I've been to, all the good and bad. I've always took something from it, and I've always been appreciative that I still lived through it. So happiest memory, you know what? Being here. That got deep, but I'm being very serious. Just being here in this fandom is my happiest memory, because you know what? It's been a good ride, and I plan on continuing being on this furry train as long as I can. Until it stops existing, because, you know, at that point I'll just continue it anyway. Then I'll be the old geezer in this fandom like, oh, yeah, that's right, he's been around for a while, oh, yeah, oh my god, he's doing a zoomy, oh, it's not as fast as it used to be. So yeah, happiest memory, just being around with you guys. Everything. What does the furry fandom mean to you? Everything. It means a lot to me. Certainly saved me some really bad times in my past. So, in this case, furry fandom means the whole world to me. Both what it does good and both what it sucks at. Still would not trade it over anything else. So with that, I've answered 20 questions. I hope you learned a bit about me, and certainly would do more of this in the future as well. So, in this case, we catch you next time.